Hi guys, it's a bit of a foolish exercise trying to link what Donald Trump says to what Donald Trump will actually do. However, he has on 2 occasions called for regime change in Iran in some form or other. Now, for the younger people in the audience, we've already been down a very similar road before. Back in 2003, the then US President George W. Bush and the then Prime Minister Tony Blair convinced their respective populations that Iraq's government and its leader Saddam Hussein had to go. So is the same on the cards for Iran, and how might it play out? Here Victoria Derbyshire spoke to Mikey Kay, a British military veteran, who explained how such an idea could end in disaster.
Very pleased about that, but what are the consequences? What can be the consequences of regime change? Because, over the last 20, 25 years, we've got some examples of regime change, and they're not all successful.
None of them have been successful. One word: catastrophic. I've got 3 tours in Iraq, 2 in Afghanistan. I've reported inside Syria. And if you look at any of those, let's take Iraq, for example. Saddam Hussein was taken out. If you then take out the security apparatus within inside a country, i.e. the military and the police, you create a security vacuum. Inside the security vacuum in Iraq, that allowed Al-Qaeda in Iraq to thrive. Al-Qaeda in Iraq then morphed into Islamic State in Iraq, which morphed into Islamic State, and Syria, which morphed into the so-called Islamic State. That was a direct consequence of creating a security vacuum. It didn't work in Afghanistan. In Syria, it's more of a hybrid. So, there's this idea that you incite the people of Iran to rise up against the leadership. That certainly didn't work against Bashar al-Assad in Syria. So for me, it would be a catastrophic decision to go down a route that has already proven unreliable and just, a lot of civilian collateral.
Okay.
And we can add Libya to the mix here. Remember Libya? Colonel Gaddafi, when he was deposed, it ended up resulting in 2 states within 1 state, and it seems that they are still at war with each other. This has also resulted in more people crossing the channel, not the channel, but the Mediterranean, to get to Europe. And then we also saw with Syria during the Syria civil war, where tens of thousands of refugees came to Europe, which created an unstable situation, which helped Nigel Farage get Brexit over the line. So when wars take place and there's no government to replace the one that was deposed, then you're going to have chaos. Now, when it comes to Iran, what is the plan? What does Donald Trump hope to achieve? What does Netanyahu hope to achieve? They seem to be just talking about regime change. But replace it with what? Because if they don't replace it with something stable, you're going to have chaos and you're going to have warlords take over. Then you're going to have refugees leaving the country, going into other countries, maybe potentially destabilizing those countries, creating more refugees, creating more chaos. There needs to be a plan. Now, some people are talking about reinstating the monarchy, but the question has to be asked, would the Iranian people accept that? Because if they don't, then you're going to have chaos. And it'd be very difficult to install somebody who hasn't been in power since, or whose family hasn't been in power since 1979. This is not like just flipping a switch and putting somebody back into a place. And would there be elections? Would the monarchy be accepted? What's going to happen? There is no plan. And if there isn't a plan, we're going to see exactly like what happened in Iraq. The regime collapsed and there was no plan to replace it. There was no organization. And you ended up having different factions jockeying for power, and you had basically a civil war, which resulted in ISIS, as Mikey has said here. There's a real concern that Trump and Netanyahu just want to get rid of their regime in Iran and replace it with nothing and just walk away. But if they do, these problems are going to fester and you're going to have bigger problems later on down the road. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.